For nearly a decade, this cushion factory on Merseyside has stitched together its production with a manufacturing giant, China. It was a collaboration designed to lower overheads, but now that rationale has been turned inside out. With labour costs rising in China, production is coming back to Britain. Tony Caldera has grown his company from a humble market stall. It now exports to more than 20 countries.
How's it going all right? Who's this order for?
This is for my Botany.
What's fascinating is the changes in the global economy and how it affects even a simple business like mine making cushions. Wages have risen in China for many reasons. It's the cost of living in China has risen more quickly than it has in the UK and in Europe, and of course wages have had to rise as a result to cover those costs. Of course, as the Chinese economy has become more westernised, it has become more developed, more advanced, people's standard of living and their expectation has also risen.
Since 2004, Caldera's British employees have seen their wages increase 25%. While their Chinese counterparts are still paid less, their pay packets have quadrupled. And it's not just labour costs that are making manufacturing in China increasingly expensive. Rising costs of shipping, packaging, duty rates and textile costs all have an impact.
There are quite a few differences between my Chinese workforce and UK workforce. The UK workforce tends to be more productive. You tend to get more cushions out per hour, but they tend to work less hours per week. Whereas in China they want to work more hours if they can, because a lot of them actually live on site, and what they would like to do is earn as much money as they can. And in Chinese culture, a lot of workers would actually move every year after Chinese New Year. They look for a new contract. The contract is only a 12-month one, and at the end of the contract they see what's the best opportunity for them in the market.
Most of the workers in the British factory have been here for over 10 years, despite many salaries being kept at minimum wage.
I've been sewing since, 30 odd years, and you go back 20 years, I was on more money 20 years ago than what I'm on now, seriously. But the factories that were paying me more money, they're the ones that's gone, all closed and gone. You've got to be competitive. I mean, I know our money's only like basic or just, but you have got to be competitive.
We always knew that China would eventually catch up with us, and it has come, but we didn't really think that it would come as quickly as it has.
I have worked at places before where the wages have been high and they've gone bankrupt because of probably they've been paying the workers too much and not getting enough profit in. So as long as I've got a roof over my head and I can put food on the table, that's fine.
Loyal staff, but the next problem looming is a skills gap.
Most of the staff we have in the UK may be in the 50s or even the 60s, but they probably won't like me saying that. But that's the reality, because they actually have the skills. They were trained with apprenticeships and in training schools maybe back in the 70s or in the 80s. They learned their skills, and those skills unfortunately aren't being taught the same now in the UK. In China, the workforce is much younger, maybe in the 20s or the 30s, because what they're looking to do is work harder at a younger age so that they can save for retirement.
The workforces are different, but the price of production is converging. These striped velvet cushions cost 90 cents less to make in China last year, but that saving has shrunk to 13 cents this year, and next year the company predicts it'll cost about the same. But there are still some advantages to keeping a Chinese operation as well.
There are still some things that my Chinese factory does better. I'm very fortunate in that I have a very good workforce in China. It's becoming more expensive, but it's still very good. And they are closer to certain markets in Asia. They're also closer to a lot of the supply chain, so it makes more sense to make the finished product close to where the raw materials are all manufactured. However, as their cost rises, I suspect that more and more work will come back to the UK.
The wheels of change continue to turn, increasing competition and making the manufacturing industry here in Britain stuffed full with potential.